Hi friends, good day. Today I am working out problem number 12. B and C are partners sharing profits and losses in the proportion of 2 by 3 and 1 by 3 respectively. B managed the Bombay office. B managed the Bombay office and C managed Kanpur office. On 31st December 2015, the trial balance stood as follows. So, if you look at this, we don't know. Actually, this is something which is unique problem, very old problem. You find this problem Shukla and Grewal, very old standard textbook. Why I have given that name? This is very old school of thought where they used to test the knowledge of the students, particularly branch accounts. I've been telling you that branch accounts, department accounts, I think these are two different things. But having said, department account is much easy when compared to branch accounts. The reason is that branch accounts you got more number of models. But I think this why I would refer to department account is that, like, the Bombay office, Kanpur office, both offices. That means it's like a branch accounts only, but without having any information of it, which is at head office. But they are maintaining the offices, means Bombay office and Kanpur office is nothing a branch of the business, but yet they are maintaining independently. That is why it is called independent branch. But head office, now which is head office we don't know. Either Bombay, can you say Bombay office is head office, or can you say Kanpur office is head office? No, they are independent. That means they are taking their decisions. It is branch accounts only, but without having any head office, each of them can be treated as an independent branch. Okay, that is what has been mentioned. So it's peculiar. You don't have any these kind of problems in the any past examination. I'm not sure. I have referred to so many examination papers, but I haven't find this. But if you find anything like that, it's just something different. Like it's challenging in the sense how to approach, because we have been seeing that in the books of head office. Even that's like in the books of head office only, like Bombay office, Kanpur office, you are maintaining independent account. Why I am telling you? Because he says that at the end of the problem, pass the necessary journal entries in the books of both offices except those relating to trading and P&L account, and prepare separately final accounts and balance sheet of the Bombay and Kanpur offices. They are asking entries except relating to trading and P&L account, and prepare separately the final accounts and balance sheet of Bombay and Kanpur offices. Okay, now come back to that. We discuss that later on. So first you have to prepare trading and P&L account. This is stock at 1st January's opening stock. I need not tell you about. And one more thing before I take into this. B and C are partners sharing profits and the losses in the ratio of 2:1. It means even though B is in charge of Bombay, C is in charge of Kanpur, yet they are going to share the profits in the ratio of 2:1. That means, just for explanation, in Bombay office, B's share of profit 2 by 3. In Bombay office share of profit, C's share of profit is 1 by 3. Even though B is managing Bombay office, but C is also having the share in profit. Similarly, in Kanpur office, who is managing C? Even though C is managing, B's share of profit is 2 by 3. C's share of profit is 1 by 3. That means B is managing Bombay office, C is managing Kanpur office. But in both the profits, both the share of profits, who is getting the share? Tell me. B is getting the share as well as C is also getting the share. Clear to all of you? Okay. Now, then Stock will go to trading account debit side, you know that. Since he's asking balance sheet, B's capital will be taken to balance sheet, purchase trading account, sales trading account, plant and Bombay, balance sheet, asset side, plant and Kanpur. Now the thing is that here one more important point. Bombay office is maintaining the asset account of Kanpur office also. We have learned like in head office books, it is maintaining Kanpur office. Clear to all of you? Book debts 45,000, creditors 42,000. This will go to book debts is nothing but debtors. Creditors, wages will be taken to trading account, carriage and cottage will be taken to trading account debit side, cash in and asset side, closing stock will be taken to trading account trade side, balance sheet asset side. Stock at 1st January. I'll come back to this later on. This 36,000 point. Just a minute. I'll come back to this later on. This capital will be taken to balance sheet. Book debts is nothing but debtors. Purchases will be taken to trading account of Kanpur office. Sales will be taken to trading account credit side. Creditors will be taken to liability side. Wages will be taken to trading account debit side. Carriage and cottage will be taken to debit side. Cash in hand, asset side, closing stock, trading account credit side, balance sheet, asset side. Now look at this. Kanpur office 45,000, Bombay office credit side. That means, in simple words, we haven't had any information. The difference can be 45,000 and 36,000 can be taken as cash in transit. Now the question is that, sir, who has sent the cash? It appears to be Kanpur is Kanpur. In the books of Bombay office, Kanpur account is showing debit balance me. Simple logic. If Kanpur office is sending the money, then they debit. If Bombay office is sending the money, they deduct 9,000 cash in trans. So I think you can take assumption where Kanpur office account is showing 45,000 means the money might have been sent by Bombay office to Kanpur office. We are assuming. It means Kanpur office account in the books of Bombay office showing debit balance, that is including 9,000 cash in transit that has been sent. Since Bombay office has not recorded, we assume that this 9,000 cash in transit has not been recorded by Bombay office, by Kanpur office. That means we assume that cash in transit sent by Bombay office not recorded by Kanpur office. That is to be recorded. Clear to all of you? That is to be recorded. The entry will be cash in transit account added to Bombay office. So cash in transit, we assume that cash in transit sent by Bombay office not recorded by Kanpur office because it shows debit balance means generally when at the time of preparing trial balance, simple logic, at the time of preparing trial balance, when they are preparing that it shows debit balance means this amount is due from Kanpur office. The reason is that we assume that the cash in transit has not been recorded by Kanpur office. Okay, now coming back to this. Interest on capital to be allowed. It will be taken to balance sheet, P&L account, debit side, and also it will be taken to where? Deducted from concerned asset. It is added to capital, respective capital. Depreciation, 5% is charged to plant. Now the question is that who is maintaining depreciation? Who is maintaining depreciation? Depreciation is being maintained, asset is being maintained by Bombay office. That means they are maintaining their own plant, also plant of Kanpur. Now you need to write entry for this. Depreciation is asking the entries to be written. No, you should write the entry for depreciation and you should write entry for transfer of profit. So past journal entries in the books of both the office except those relating to trading and P&L account means depreciation effect will be there in Bombay office as well as Kanpur office. The depreciation entry we should write. That depreciation entry we should. Remaining entries has already been transferred to trading P&L account. You may be asking me the question, sir, depreciation, why should we write depreciation entry, sir? If I don't write depreciation entry, what will happen? There won't be an entry for depreciation of plant at Kanpur maintained by Bombay office is not recorded in Kanpur office. Therefore, that entry you should write. It is very difficult. This problem looks very simple. What entries we should write, what entries we should not write. I think that is what I am telling you. Depreciation entry, why should you write? Because depreciation of plant, that is the reason why you should write. Only one entry we should write. Depreciation of plant at Kanpur is to be recorded. Depreciation of plant at Bombay, no need to record. It is to be transferred to profit and loss account. So which account which entry we should write? Because depreciation of Kanpur office is being maintained by plant, and that to divisible profit we should write entry. That's it. Then we have to go for balance sheet. I think trading account you can do it very simple way. Let us see this. Let me start doing this. Trading comma trading comma profit and the year is given 31st December 15. I'm having two columns. One is per Bombay office, Kanpur office. Bombay office, Kanpur office. Okay, let me take you to this. Opening stock 1,08,000, 78,000. Purchases 1,92,000, 30. Purchase 1,92,000, 1,02,000. Sales 3,12,000, 1,44,000. Closing stock 1,08,000, 85,200. Next, wages 36,000, 24. Wages 36,000, 24. Carriage and cortege 5,400, 2,400. That's it. Now come back to this gross profit. We can find out. Three lakh 12,000 plus 1,08,000 is coming to 4,12,800. 71,400 is the gross profit carried. 22,800. Okay. Now we can continue with why gross profit brought down. 71,400, 22,800. Now if you look at, we got only two expenses: interest on capital and depreciation. So I told you, depreciation, since you are going for final accounts, even the asset is being maintained by Kanpur, by Bombay office regarding Kanpur also, still when you prepare P&L account, the depreciation will be debited to profit and loss account. Concerned asset depreciation will be debited to P&L account. Even the asset is being maintained, Kanpur asset is being maintained by Bombay office. So 72,000 into 5%, 48,000 into 5%. These two will be taken to profit and loss account. So here I am writing to depreciation. So here Bombay plant, 72,000. Then Kanpur plant, 48,000 into 2,400. Clear to all of you? Just to even directly you can write, but for you to explain, for me to explain you, I've written in the brackets 48,000 to 5%, 2,400. Then you are also having interest on capital. What is B's capital? 2,04,000. What is C's capital? 48,000. On that you have to calculate 5% interest. So to interest on capital, B 2,04,000 into 5%, 10,200 to 5%, it is coming to 10,200. C capital 48,000. 2,000. Clear to all of you? So interest on capital also has been completed. Now you can find out the profit. Now when you are transferring profit, simply what I do, the division of profit I'll do here. Just simply I write the profit carry down. Division of profit we can find out later on. And then calculation will become easy. $71,400, 22,800. $71,400, 22,800. 71,400 minus 3,600 minus 10,200. It is coming to 57,600. 22,800 minus 2,400 minus 2,400, it is coming to 18,000. Here I am writing note, division of profit. Division of profit. B's share of profit. In Bombay office profit, 37,600 into 2 by 3. We have seen that 57,600 to 2 by 3. 38,400. In Kanpur office profit. What is Kanpur office profit? 18,000. 18,000 2 by 3. 12,000. Total profit comes to B's share of profit. Okay, you know that B's share of profit generally is be taken to where balance sheet, no? It is added to B's capital. Similarly, I have to go for C's share of profit. C's share of profit. A. In Bombay office profit. C's share is 1 by 3, no? 57,600 by 3. It is coming to 19,200. In Kanpur office profit, 12,000, sorry, 18,000. No? One by 3 coming to 6. C's share of profit added to C's capital, where in balance sheet. So we have completed this and then we should go for balance sheet. But he is asking entries, no? So what we do, I am leaving the space for preparing the balance sheet. Okay, I think this is enough for me to prepare balance sheet this space. I am writing here. I told you we need to write entries. Bombay office, in Kanpur office. Only except trading and P&L account items, he said. See, you know that Kanpur office asset is being maintained by Bombay office. You learned in the last class that entry for depreciation. What is the entry you write? We should debit Kanpur office, no? Kanpur office account debtor. Depreciation on Kanpur plant is 2,400 to Kanpur plant. We have learned in the last class Doing the entry for depreciation. Maintained by Bombay office. Maintained by Bombay office. Then here, in the books of Kanpur office, you debit depreciation, and you know later on this depreciation account is being closed by transferring to profit and loss account. Depreciation account data to Bombay office. Like we used to write branch, you know. Sir, we used to write in head office. Here we used to write branch. Branch account data to branch asset. Depreciation account data to head office we used to write. But here head office, which is head office, this branch has not been given. So we are taking independent branch. Both have been taken as a branch. Both have been taken as head office. You can assume in that way also. Depreciation account data same amount. 2,400. Being the entry for depreciation of our asset, maintained by Bombay office. Okay. Then you should write next entry, second entry. For transfer of profit, we have written here, not profit. Now the thing is that when you have prepared profit and loss account, you know, Bombay office profit is transferred to. Now the most important thing. So Bombay office profit of in the books of Kanpur own profit is transferred to P&L account. The entry will be P&L account at R2 Kanpur office. P&L account at R2 Kanpur office. Please try to understand. This is a share of this is okay. So this is important one. Here you may have a bit of confusion. Be careful. B's share of profit 38,400. I told you no need to write entry for his own share. He should write entry for his share of profit in Kanpur office. What is the entry for his share of profit from Kanpur office? This amount is to be created to be in Bombay office, but the amount is to be debited because the amount is due from whom? Kanpur office. So what is it? I will be writing one by one. I'll explain first. Kanpur office account at R2. B's capital. being the entry for B's share of profit. We are writing only entries for, you can see the depreciation of Kanpur branch. Right, understand? The share of profit of Kanpur branch which is to be given to B. Is not asking about trading P&L account entries. Please be careful. That is why it is a bit confusing. So similarly here depreciation of Kanpur office maintained by Bombay you are writing. So being the entry for B share of profit in Kanpur office credited to B. We have written already, no? I should again we write credited. It is coming to how much? We have seen 12,000. Similarly, in here in this books, this is whose share of profit actually? The profit of Kanpur to be given to whom? Bombay office. Here we will be writing P&L account data. P&L account my preparing is P&L account. He needs to give the profit to whom? Bombay office. P&L account to Bombay office. Being the entry for being the entry for B's share of profit in Bombay office. This profit is to be given to whom? Bombay office. That means here try to understand this. Kanpur office profit, no? Kanpur office profit, B's share of profit in Kanpur office. That means Kanpur office profit to be given to whom? Bombay office. Because amount due to Bombay office because it is being maintained by Bombay. Clear to all of you? P&L account data to Bombay office. If I write this third entry, you will understand. You will have more clarity. I think here for Kanpur office profit, you can see what is Kanpur office profit. C's share of profit in Kanpur office. C's share of profit in Bombay office. 19,200. For this 19,200 you can guess who needs to make a payment, and the amount is to be payable to whom? C. But we are writing in Bombay office. No, Bombay office is maintained by B. So there he will be writing profit and loss account data. Bombay office has to give share of profit to whom? Kanpur office. So that the entry is here. Whatever you have written here, P&L account opposite. P&L account data to Kanpur office. Okay. Now you can guess whose share of profit is this? 19,200. C's share of profit. C's share of profit in Bombay office. You need to make a payment to whom? Kanpur. That is why you'll be writing entry P&L account data when Bombay office was the share of profit of C, you should credit Kanpur office. C is a share of profit. C is a share of profit in Bombay office profit. Being the entry for C is a share of profit in Bombay office. to be given to Kanpur office, because Kanpur office is being maintained by C, no? So whenever you need to make payment to somebody, you should credit Kanpur office. Think third entry here, you can guess it now. Come on, guess it. Same 19,200. The way we are written Kanpur office to B's capital. Here, the amount is due from whom? Bombay office. Because Kanpur office profit is to be receivable from Bombay office. Kanpur of Bombay office account debtor 19,200. This amount to be given to whom? C's capital. C's share of profit. I think you can note down, you can notice this. The entries are peculiar. It is not that easy to understand, but simple logic I'll tell you. So in Bombay office, you are not writing Bombay office profit. You are writing the entry for Kanpur office profit. The amount is due from Kanpur office, that is to be given to B's capital. So the amount to be given to B is to be debited to Kanpur office. And this P&L account, the profit of Kanpur office to be given to Bombay office. The credit indicates liability. Debit indicates amount due from Kanpur. Credit indicates amount due to Bombay. Now you can notice they are not writing their own profit. They are writing other profit. Okay. Now this is important. Being the P&L account to Kanpur office. Here being the entry for share of profit in Bombay office. Now Bombay office profit to be given to whom? Kanpur office. A liability credit balance. From how you are getting by debiting P&L account. Now the same thing, which is profit of C due from Bombay office. So the amount is due from Bombay office. Therefore Bombay office account has been debited and C's capital account has been created. We can also write one more entry, cash in transit. Cash in transit account at R2. I've already explained in there. We assume that cash in transit sent by Bombay office not recorded by Kanpur office. The difference is 9,000. I have told you, no. So fourth entry. For sender, no need to write entry. Only for receiver, you should write cash in transit account debtor. Who is the giver? Bombay office. You can see Bombay office create 36. By creating further, it is becoming 45,000. Now, in the books of Bombay office, Kanpur office debit balance is equal to, in the books of Kanpur office, Bombay office account is showing credit balance. Here, debit balance of Bombay office is equal to debit balance of Kanpur office in Bombay office is equal to credit balance of Bombay office in the books of Kanpur office. Cash in transit account debtor to Bombay office, being the entry for cash in transit. See, last class, one problem we have done where we went for a consolidated balance sheet. So if you are going to have a separate balance sheet for Bombay, because we can't go for consolidated, is not asking. Prepare necessary entries in the books of both the offices. In the balance sheet of Bombay and Kanpur office, which is asking separately. If I remember the last class, one problem we have worked out here, they are asking past entries, record adjustment dealing with following, prepare balance sheet. So we went for head office and branch office combined, consolidated. Of course, that is head office and branch has been mentioned. Here, which is head office, which is branch has not been mentioned. So that means they both of them are head office, both of them are branch. So that is why we are preparing a branch account. Simple words you can assume in the books of head office. Which is head office, we don't know. But in the like you the way you write head office, we prepare two accounts: Bombay office and Kanpur office. So Bombay office is like a branch as well as like a head office. Kanpur office is like a branch, like a head office. I think this is what bit confusing. It's not that easy. The problem frame, the problem setter thing. Hats off to him. The kind of the thinking he has generated in doing the problem, not that easy. Cash in transit. Okay, if you are able to understand, that's great. Cash in transit account at R to Bombay office account. Now we need to find out the balance, because after adjusting these things, what happened? The which accounts will change? I'll do one thing. I'll open ledger account. This is a working notes. The books of Bombay. I'm opening Kanpur branch account. The books of Bombay Kanpur branch account is showing debit balance of 45,000. Debit, no? The books of Kanpur Bombay office is showing credit balance of 36,000. Okay, then you can go by entry. Kanpur office to Kanpur plant. To Kanpur plant. Then here you can see first entry. Depreciation to Bombay office. In Bombay office by depreciation. Next. Kanpur office to B capital. Whenever amount is due from Kanpur branch, let me write. I think by generally I have used the term branch. Let me write office. No, it's like a branch, but since he is using the term office, I should use the term office. Okay, whenever amount is due from Kanpur, it should be debited. Kanpur office to B's capital. That is share of profit in Kanpur office. And here second entry P&L account at R to Bombay office. Amount due to Bombay office. So by P&L account 12,000. Then next P&L to Kanpur office. That means from Bombay office share of Kanpur office. That means in Bombay office who is having Kanpur office means who is in charge of Kanpur? C. P&L account at R to Kanpur office. So in Kanpur office by P&L account. Now here third entry here. Bombay office to seize capital. Amount you due from Bombay, no? Bombay office to seize capital. Because we have discussed that each partners are having share of profit in respect to office. Last entry cash in transit is missing. Cash in transit to Bombay office. Bombay office by cash in transit. I think by balance carry down and to balance capital must be equal. Amounts are showing same, no? You can take 45,000 plus 2,400, 59,004. You're getting 40,200. Same total will be getting 36,000 plus 59. Like in the last class, when we have prepared consolidated balance sheet, we have omitted the amount due in the books of Kanpur office, amount in the books of Bombay office, amount due from Kanpur office, or in the books of Bombay office, amount due to Kanpur office. This we in the books of Kanpur office, amount due to Bombay office, we have omitted because we went for consolidated. Now this is significant. Why? Because we are preparing balance sheet of respective offices separately. I think it is tallied, no? Because of cash in transit, we are having difference. Otherwise, debit balance is equal to credit balance. Now we can go for balance sheet. I think I'll put the space for there for writing the balance sheet. One column is for Bombay office, other column is for okay. You know that bad, write this. Bombay office, B's capital 2,04,000. I'm writing separately because who is maintaining Bombay office? B is maintaining Bombay office. No? So it is we are writing here plus interest on capital. Plus share of profit. This we have done working notes already. We have done note. Interest on capital, etc. we have done here. Share of profit is 50,400. Interest on capital is how much? 10,200. 10,200. Since I don't have the space to write working notes, I am just leaving it like this. Otherwise, if I am having sub-inner column, I can write it. Since I don't have place to write sub-inner column, here itself I am continuing. Share of profit is 50,400. Two lakh 4,000 plus 10,200 plus 50,400. It is coming to 2,64,600. Similarly, we will be writing C's capital now. C's capital 48,000 plus interest on capital 2,400 plus the share of profit. We have done working note. Share of profit we have done working notes. C share of profit added to C's capital 25,200. So 48,000 plus 2,400 plus 25,200. Then you can look at the Creditas, etc. Creditas 42,000. Bombay office 42,000 and this is 12,000. And I told you here we have went for calculation opening of an account. Here working notes. Kanpur office is showing debit balance. So in the books of Kanpur office, it is showing credit balance. You know, by balance carried on and become to balance brought down. So in the books of Kanpur office, amount due to Bombay is how much? 40,200. In the books of Kanpur office, amount due to Bombay office 40,200. Come back to asset side. Plant at Bombay. The interesting thing is that both the plants will appear in Bombay only. So what we can do is that because we don't have the space, first I am writing as it is the values here. 72,000, 48,000. Then you write depreciation. I think 3,600, no? 2,000 plus 48,000. 1,20,000. And depreciation Kanpur 2,400. 6,000. 1,20,000 minus 6,000. 1,14,000 is the plant of Bombay office, because Kanpur plant also is being maintained by Bombay. This is completed. This is completed. This is complete. Book debts. Book debts 45,000. Cash in hand and closing stock. These two values you should write. Book debts 45,000. Closing stock 1,08,000. Cash in hand 6,600. The same values I must write now belongs to whom? Kanpur office. Book debts 30,000. Closing stock 85,200. Cash in hand 3,600. But you are having cash in transit. You've written the entry for cash in transit, no? Here I am writing note. Cash in transit will appear asset side of balance sheet of Kanpur office. So now cash in transit is how much? 9,000. Balance sheet should tally now. Let me start with asset side first. This book value 1,14,000. Because Kanpur office doesn't have any assets. 1,08,000. 6,600. It is coming to 1,14,000. It's 45,000. We have not written this. Kanpur office. Bombay office amount due from Kanpur office is how much? 40,200. So let me check again. 1,14,000 plus 45,000 plus lakh 800 plus 6,600. I've already explained, this is the books of Bombay office, amount due from Kanpur office show debit balance. The books of Kanpur office, amount due to Bombay office shows credit balance, because you are preparing separate. That means amount due for Bombay office from Kanpur should be equal to amount due by Kanpur office to Bombay office. If you are consolidating, these two can be avoided, right? It is coming to 3,06,600. $30,000 plus 85,200 plus 3,600 plus 9,000 is coming to 1,20,000. Minus 12,000. It's a tally. 1,37,800. Okay. This is very rare problem. Since it has been there in the material, we have worked out, but actually the logic is same. We'll work out one more problem today. One we'll take up. May 2014. I'll be dictating the entries. You can copy down, take the material instead of me writing on the screen, so that we can save some time. Pass necessary journal entries in the books of an independent branch of a company wherever required to rectify or adjust the following. He is asking you to write the entries in the books of branch. Come on, write the journal entries in the books of a branch. Brackets independent. Journal entries in the books of a branch, brackets you write independent. Okay, first let us see. Income of 2,800 allocated to branch by head office but not recorded in the branch books. So the amount is allocated means it is an income for them. So that amount is to be due from, to be received from whom? Head office. One of our previous classes we have seen expenses of head office branch borne by head office, like administrative expenses. In this problem, head office is allocating the branch income because they might have received the income. That income they are allocating, it's not head office income, it is an income belongs to branch. For that is they are writing, they are asking to write entry in the books of branch. In the books of branch, amount is due from head office. No, note down the entry. Head office account at R2. Head office account at R2, income account. Rupees 2,800. I repeat once again, head office account at R2, income account 2,800. Narration. Being income allocated by head office. Being income allocated by head office. Not recorded earlier. Now recorded. now recorded. Second one, provision for doubtful debts whose accounts are kept by head office not provided earlier for 1000. That means doubtful debts belongs to whom? Customers belongs to branch, but accounts are being maintained by head office. So I think this is because accounts are being maintained. Simple words. The expense of branch or losses of branch or provision, whatever it may be, those assets has been maintained by head office. Remember, the concerned expense or provision should be debited and head office account should be created. Note down the entry. Provision for doubtful debts account data to head office account. Provision for doubtful debts account data to head office. I'll give a small example. We have seen like the last class problem, the previous problem we have worked out. Depreciation was there. What is that entry you have written? Depreciation account data to Bombay office, because our account has been maintained by Bombay office plant. Similarly here, expenses, provision for doubtful debts account data to head office account. Rupees 1000. Being the entry for provision for PBD not provided earlier. Being the provision for doubtful debts not provided earlier, now provided. The next entry, branch paid 3000 as salary to head office manager, but the amount paid has been debited to by the branch to salaries account. Actually, branch paid salary of head office manager. So head office manager salary means the correct entry I am talking about. The correct entry for this expense belongs to whom? Head office, no? Head office to cash. But what wrong entry they have written here? Salary to cash. Rectification. This salary account is to be, because which aspect is correct? Credit aspect is correct. This salary account is to be closed. Which account should be debited? Head office account at R2 salary account. That is why I said whenever required, rectify. I repeat once again, branch paid 3000 salary to head office manager. So when branch is paying, entry head office to cash. The amount is to be debited head office, because head office account generally branch will credit because amount is due to branch. The amount is due by branch to head office. But in this case, head office owes some money, so therefore we are debiting head office account. But by mistakenly they have debited which account? Salaries account. Salaries account should not be debited, head office account should be debited. So we are closing the salary by debiting which account? Head office account. Come on, note down the entry. Rectification entry. This is rectification. Head office account data to salary account. Head office account data to salary account. Being the entry for rectification. Being the entry for rectification. Next. Branch incurred traveling expenses 5000 on behalf of other branches, but not recorded in the books of branch. This branch has incurred traveling expense of other branches. Simple words, other branch expenses paid by us. That means this amount I can't recover from other branches, because on advice, generally whenever branch is incurring anything on behalf of other branches, it is on the advice of head office only. So the amount is to be collected from whom? Head office. Branch incurred means branch made a payment. The entry is, come on, tell me. The amount should be collected from head office. And what is going out? Cash is going out. Note down the entry. Head office account data or to branch account. Head office account data or to cash account. $5,000. Being the entry for expenses of other branches. Being the entry for expenses of other branches. Being the entry for expenses of other branches incurred by us. Next one. Amount is 5,000. Next transaction you can see. This one. A remittance of 1,50,000 sent by a branch has not received by head office on the date of reconciliation of accounts. See, branch is sending amount. I told you it's like cash in transit. Cash in transit, I told you, you should record entry in the books of head office. Generally, branch at the time of sending the cash, they have already recorded. So, therefore, you can write no entry is required. No entry is required in branch books for fifth transaction. No entry is required in branch books because cash in transit entry will appear, in head office books. Cash in transit entry will appear in head office book. Sixth one. Head office allocates 75,000 to branch as head office expense, which has not yet been recorded by branch. We have seen this already. Allocation of expenses. That means branch expenses incurred by allocated. Expenses incurred by head office. So they say that you, like we have seen last class, administrative expenses. Similarly, head office allocates 75,000 to branch. So we should write the entry. This amount, that means the amount is to be paid to whom? Head office. So which account should be debited? Expenses. For this one, because our expenses borne by head office. So that means amount due to head office will increase. It's a liability. That is why head office account should be created. Entry. Expenses account data to head office account. Rupees 75,000. Narration. Being allocation of expenses by head office recorded. Next, head office collected 30,000 directly from a branch customer. The intimation of the fact has been received by the branch only now. That means our customer, means we are in branch now. We are writing entries in the books of branch. Our customer, amount due from our customer received by head office. Who is the receiver? Head office. Who is the giver? Debtor. Entry. Seventh one, this one. Note down the entry. Head office account debtor to debtors account. Head office account debtor to debtors account 30,000. These kind of models you can expect in examination. This will be simple branch account, journal entry, 8 marks question you can expect. 8 transactions, 8 marks you can expect. Head office account debtor to debtors account. You can see the question and the May 2014. This is debtors method. This is wholesale branch price method. Examination paper. This is from study material, I think. These examination problems, be watchful. Remaining, these all been picked from study materials. From other books, sorry. This is also from other books. Other books. Okay. So what is entry written? Head office accounted debtors. Last one. Goods dispatched by the head office amounting to 10,000 but not received by the branch till date of reconciliation. Goods have been received subsequently. Goods dispatched by head office nothing but transit. Not received by branch till the date of reconciliation means before closing of your books. This entry has not been received, not been recorded. You know, goods in transit entry should be recorded in branch book. So let us write the entry. Goods in transit account at head office account. I told you cash in transit entry will be recorded in head office. Goods in transit entry will be recorded in branch. Goods in transit account at head office account 10,000. Goods in transit account at head office account 10,000. Being goods sent by head office still in transit. Being goods sent by head office still in transit. Being goods sent by head office still in transit. Okay. So tomorrow's class, I'll be completing independent branches. Then next day onwards, we can start doing the branch account, foreign branches. Okay. We'll meet in the next class. Till then, goodbye. Thank you. God bless you all.